Listen. Practice. Speak. Practice makes you perfect.
Business tech upgrades. We'll be talking about everything from CRM overhauls and network upgrades to the fascinating world of the Internet of Things, and we've got a ton of real-world business conversations to pull from.
It's fascinating to see how these conversations, while focusing on different technologies, all seem to circle back to the same core challenges: data security, the need for effective user training, and of course, the ever-present hurdle of change management.
Yeah, implementing new technology isn't just about flipping a switch and expecting everything to magically work, right?
Yeah.
You really have to guide your entire organization through a transformation. And I think these conversations really highlight that human element.
Let's dive into specifics, shall we?
Absolutely, let's.
Um,
Okay, let's start with something I know many of you are grappling with: CRM implementation. One of the conversations we reviewed really hit home for me. A sales manager was describing that sheer panic of switching over to a new CRM system. All those worries about data migration, user adoption, potential system glitches, it can feel really overwhelming.
Oh, it's definitely a common fear. And that's why a phased rollout is often the best approach. One of the conversations actually offered a really practical tip. Start with a pilot group, maybe your sales team, to test the waters before launching company-wide. That way you can work out the kinks and gather feedback and refine your training materials before going all in.
That makes so much sense. It's like dipping your toes in the pool before jumping in head first. You get a feel for the temperature, so to speak. Yeah. And while we're talking about avoiding unpleasant surprises, let's talk about data security, which is absolutely paramount when it comes to CRMs.
Absolutely. You're entrusting your valuable customer data to the system, so understanding the encryption protocols and involving your cybersecurity team from day one is crucial. Don't just assume the vendor has it all covered. Ask the tough questions and make sure your data is protected to the highest standards.
Exactly. And it's not just about external threats, it's about internal security as well. Who has access to what data? How are you managing user permissions and preventing unauthorized access? These are all questions you need to be addressing from the outset.
And let's not forget about the integration piece. One of the conversations mentioned the frustration of having a CRM that doesn't play nicely with other software systems. You don't want to be creating data silos. You want a seamless flow of information across your entire organization.
That's so true. It's like building a house. You need all the rooms to connect in a logical way for it to function properly.
And speaking of connections, let's move on to something that can really make or break productivity, especially for those remote teams: network upgrades. One of the conversations we reviewed talked about the pain of slow VPNs and the constant frustration of lagging network speeds. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all experienced that dreaded buffering wheel during a video call. But what's the solution? One of the conversations mentioned SD-WAN as a potential game changer.
And it really can be. Think of SD-WAN as a super smart traffic controller for your network. It optimizes data flow so that those remote workers aren't stuck in a digital traffic jam. It's like having a dedicated lane on the highway just for your business-critical data.
I love that analogy. That makes such a complex concept so much easier to understand. And what's really interesting is that the SD-WAN, it not only speeds things up, but it also enhances security as well.
Exactly. It adds an extra layer of protection by creating secure tunnels for your data, reducing the risk of interception or unauthorized access.
So we've got the speed and the security, but let's be real. Upgrading your network usually means new hardware. And with new hardware comes the potential for, well, headaches. I remember one conversation where a CIO was describing a network outage that brought their entire operation to a standstill. It was a nightmare.
And that's why having a rock-solid contingency plan is essential. Before you even start the upgrade process, ask yourself, can we quickly switch back to our old system if something goes wrong? Do we have backups in place? Are our employees prepared for potential disruptions? Don't leave anything to chance.
That's such a great point. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of new technology and completely forget about those potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
Always have a plan B, especially when it comes to your network.
All right, let's move on to something that has the potential to really revolutionize customer service, but also comes with its own set of challenges: AI-powered chatbots.
Yes, the rise of the chatbots. I'm all for efficiency, but I have to admit I've had some, to say, interesting encounters with some of those bots. Sometimes it feels like they're speaking a completely different language.
I think we've all been there. One of the conversations we reviewed actually talked about this very issue. A customer service manager was expressing frustration with a chatbot that kept giving irrelevant answers and frustrating customers. The takeaway: AI can be a powerful tool, but maintaining that human touch is crucial.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we harness the efficiency of AI without sacrificing that personal touch that customers crave?
Well, one of the conversations suggested using AI for those initial, often repetitive inquiries like password resets or order tracking, and then have a smooth escalation path to a human agent when things get more complex or, well, emotionally charged. Nobody wants to pour their heart out to a bot.
No, right. Sometimes you just need to talk to a real person who can empathize with your situation and offer a genuine solution. And this brings us back to data privacy, which is especially relevant when it comes to AI. These chatbots need data to learn, but that data needs to be, well, squeaky clean.
Absolutely. Anonymized training data should be non-negotiable. You are responsible for protecting that customer information, whether it's being used by a human or an algorithm.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about something that often sends shivers down my spine: cybersecurity awareness.
I remember one conversation where an IT manager was talking about finding a password sticky note stuck to the underside of someone's keyboard. Yikes.
Oh, it's more common than we'd like to admit, but that's exactly why employee training is paramount. And one of the conversations offered a really interesting suggestion. Take it beyond those, boring click-through training modules that everyone dreads.
Gamification.
Exactly. Think leaderboards, rewards for completing training, and this was a good one, regular phishing simulations to test employees' ability to spot those sneaky emails. Make security training engaging and relevant, not just a box to be ticked.
I've actually done those phishing simulations, and they are so eye-opening. It's amazing how sneaky some of those emails can be. You think you're a savvy internet user, and then bam, you fall for a fake login page. It's humbling. It's a constant arms race, isn't it? And it's not just about knowledge, it's about behavior change. And that's where the user experience of security software comes in. If your security software is clunky and frustrating to use, people will find ways to circumvent it.
Absolutely. User-friendly security tools are crucial for compliance. If it's a pain to use, people will find workarounds, and that's when those security gaps emerge.
Let's move on to the big one, the one that keeps many business leaders up at night: cloud migration.
Ah, yes, the cloud, that magical place where all our data lives happily ever after. But seriously, it's such a big decision for any business. Full plunge into the cloud or dip a toe in with a hybrid approach. So many options.
The conversations we reviewed offer some great insights into this complex process, and the hybrid model seems to be gaining traction, offering that blend of flexibility and control.
So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. But one of the conversations I found really insightful was from a CIO who was talking about the challenges of integrating those legacy systems with a cloud environment. Not everything plays well in the cloud sandbox.
It's a key consideration. You need to carefully assess your existing systems and determine what can be migrated as is, what needs to be adapted, and what might need to be replaced altogether. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
While we're talking about potential pitfalls, let's not forget those critical aspects: data backup and disaster recovery in the cloud. Those can make or break your migration.
Absolutely. You can't just assume your data is safe because it's in the cloud. Regular testing of your disaster recovery plan is crucial. Having redundancy built into your cloud infrastructure is key. What happens if there's an outage? Do you have a backup plan? These are questions you need to address before you even start migrating data.
Redundancy is our friend. Okay, ready to tackle another upgrade that can have a huge impact on a business. The ERP system, out with the old, in with the new, right?
Ah, yes, the ERP, the backbone of many businesses. And the conversations we reviewed highlight a common wish list: seamless integration, real-time analytics, and of course, mobile accessibility.
It's all about having the right data at your fingertips wherever you are. No more being chained to your desk to access critical information. But one thing that struck me was that emphasis on seeking external guidance for these implementations.
And it makes sense. ERP implementations can be so incredibly complex, and having a seasoned consultant to guide you through that process can save you a lot of headaches down the road. They've seen it all and can really help you avoid those common pitfalls.
It's like having a Sherpa guide you up Mount Everest. They know the terrain, they've seen the dangers, and can help you reach the summit safely.
Right. And the conversations also stress the importance of customization. Your ERP should adapt to your unique workflows, not the other way around. You don't want to force your employees to adapt to a system that just doesn't fit their needs.
And of course, change management rears its head again. You've got to get the team on board early and make sure they understand how this new system will actually benefit them. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for resistance and frustration.
Now, let's move on to a topic that is near and dear to my heart: data analytics. We all know data is king, but it's useless if you can't make sense of it, right? Enter the BI tools.
Yes, BI tools to the rescue. The conversations mentioned the usual suspects, Tableau and Power BI. But what I found really interesting was the potential impact of these tools on the roles within an analytics team. So it's not just about crunching numbers anymore.
It's a shift from data gathering to data interpretation. These BI tools automate much of the heavy lifting, freeing up analysts to focus on extracting insights and really telling the story behind the data. It's about turning data into actionable knowledge.
And those insights need to be accessible to everyone, not just the data wizards, right? One of the conversations talked about the importance of having dashboards that are easy to understand, even for people who aren't, data experts.
Absolutely. And the conversations also emphasize the importance of mobile BI, especially for executives who need to make those data-driven decisions on the go. Imagine being able to pull up key performance indicators on your phone while you're waiting for a flight. That's the power of mobile BI.
It's like having a mini war room in your pocket. But with all this data flying around, data governance becomes paramount, right? One of the conversations mentioned the need for clear data dictionaries, consistent data definitions, and those robust access controls.
We're talking security protocols, access policies, regular audits, all those things that ensure data integrity and compliance. It's not just about having the data, it's about managing it responsibly.
Okay, ready to dive into a technology that's taking data to a whole new level? The Internet of Things, or IoT.
Let's do it.
IoT. It's not just for your smart fridge anymore. The conversations really paint this picture of real-time inventory tracking, predictive maintenance for equipment, even smart sensors that can monitor environmental conditions. The possibilities seem endless.
What's fascinating is the discussion about where to process all that data, on the edge or in the cloud. Edge computing gives you those real-time insights, which is great for things like predictive maintenance, where you need to react quickly. But cloud processing offers that more in-depth analytics, better for long-term trend analysis and strategic decision-making.
So the choice really depends on your specific needs. No one-size-fits-all solution here. One conversation I found really helpful was from a manufacturing company that was using IoT sensors to monitor their production line in real time. They were able to identify bottlenecks, optimize their processes, and even prevent equipment failures before they happened. It was amazing.
It's a great example of how IoT can drive real business value. But the conversations also highlight those big three for successful IoT implementation: security, scalability, and integration with existing systems. You got to make sure your data is secure, that your system can handle the influx of data from all those sensors, and that your IoT platform can talk to your other business systems.
And that idea of a pilot program, brilliant. One of the conversations suggested starting with a small-scale deployment, maybe in a single department or facility, to test the waters before rolling it out company-wide. It's a great way to identify potential issues, refine your processes, and build confidence before making a larger investment.
Now let's move on to a topic that's close to the heart of any organization that values continuous learning: the LMS.
Time for a learning upgrade. The modern workforce demands a modern LMS. Out with those clunky, outdated systems, and in with something that's engaging, accessible, and relevant to today's learners. One of the conversations I found particularly insightful was from a learning and development manager who was talking about the need for mobile accessibility. Their employees were demanding training that they could access on their phones and tablets anytime, anywhere.
Makes sense, right? We live in a mobile world and learning should be no different. But it's not just about mobile access, it's about creating a learning experience that's engaging and relevant. The conversations highlight the demand for interactive content, gamification, and personalized learning paths.
It's about meeting learners where they are, both physically and mentally. One conversation talked about the importance of micro-learning, breaking down training content into those bite-sized chunks that can be consumed quickly and easily. It's a great way to combat information overload and just keep learners engaged.
And some of the conversations even touch on the potential of AI-powered learning paths. Imagine an LMS that actually tailors the learning experience to each individual's progress, job role, and learning style. It's like having a virtual tutor who can guide you through the material and provide personalized feedback.
That's where things get really exciting. Personalized learning at scale. But let's not forget about that existing training content. One of the conversations suggested repurposing as much as possible, which is a smart move for both efficiency and consistency.
Absolutely don't reinvent the wheel. If you have existing training materials that are still relevant, find ways to adapt them for your new LMS. It's a great way to save time and resources.
And those LMS champions in each department, they'll be crucial for driving adoption and providing ongoing support. One of the conversations suggested creating a network of LMS ambassadors who can answer questions, troubleshoot problems, and champion the platform within their teams.
Think of them as your cheerleaders for continuous learning.
I love it. Okay, ready to tackle our final topic for this part of our deep dive. Let's talk about taming project chaos with a shiny new project management software upgrade.
Let's do it.
One of the conversations that really resonated with me was from a project manager who was describing the sheer volume of emails and spreadsheets they were using to manage their projects. It was a logistical nightmare. They were desperate for a system that could centralize all their project information, streamline communication, and just provide real-time visibility into project progress.
And that's a common pain point, and it's why project management software has become so essential for businesses of all sizes. But one thing that stood out to me in the conversations was that emphasis on real-time collaboration, especially for those distributed teams. We're no longer all working in the same office, so we need those tools that allow us to collaborate seamlessly regardless of location.
So it's not just about managing tasks, it's about managing the entire project ecosystem. One conversation I found really interesting was from a software development team that was using a project management tool to track their sprints, manage their backlog, and collaborate on code. They were able to increase their velocity, reduce their cycle time, and improve the quality of their code, all thanks to the power of real-time collaboration.
That's a great example of how the right project management software can really have an impact on team performance. But one thing I found particularly insightful was that focus on integration with time tracking and financial systems. It's not just about managing tasks, it's about managing that entire project lifecycle, from budgeting and resource allocation to time tracking and invoicing.
So it's about connecting the dots, so to speak. Having all that data seamlessly integrated allows for much more accurate project tracking, resource allocation, and of course, those detailed reports that project managers love.
Data-driven project management, music to my ears. But just like with any other tech upgrade, the conversations emphasize the importance of addressing those key elements: data migration, change management, and mobile accessibility. You need to make sure you can migrate your data from your old system to your new one, that you bring your team along on the journey, and that your project management software is accessible from anywhere on any device.
It's all connected. Choosing the right software is just the beginning. Implementing it effectively is where the real magic happens.
And that's where those real-world conversations become so valuable. They offer a glimpse into the challenges and opportunities of tech implementation, the successes and the failures, the lessons learned along the way. They're like mini case studies that we can learn from, adapt to our own situations, and hopefully avoid some of those common pitfalls. As we delve deeper into these conversations, it becomes clear that tech implementation isn't just about the technology itself. It's about understanding those ripple effects it creates across the entire organization.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about learning new software. It's about how these technologies fundamentally change the way we work, collaborate, make decisions, even how we define job roles.
Precisely take those BI tools we discussed. They're not just giving us prettier charts, they're empowering everyone in the organization to become more data literate. One conversation I found particularly interesting was from a marketing manager who was using a BI tool to track the performance of their campaigns in real time. They were able to identify trends, optimize their spending, and ultimately achieve better results. And the best part, they didn't need to rely on a data analyst to do it for them.
That's what I call data democratization, putting the power of data into the hands of everyone, not just the technical elite. It's about empowering people to make data-driven decisions regardless of their job title.
Exactly. And this leads to another fascinating trend that popped up in these conversations, the rise of what some are calling the citizen developer.
Citizen developer, that sounds intriguing. Break it down for us.
It's the idea that with these increasingly user-friendly tools, we're seeing people outside of IT departments creating their own applications, automating workflows, even building their own dashboards to visualize data. One conversation featured a sales representative who built their own app to track customer interactions, automate follow-up emails, and manage their pipeline more effectively. They didn't need to wait for IT to build it for them. They took the initiative and empowered themselves.
I love that it's about taking ownership and becoming a tech-savvy problem solver, regardless of your role in the organization. And it really speaks to another key theme that emerged from these conversations, the critical need for continuous learning and upskilling.
Couldn't agree more. The pace of technological change is relentless. We need to constantly learn, adapt, and expand our skill sets if we want to stay ahead of the curve. It's not enough to just learn the software once and then call it a day.
Right, it's about embracing a mindset of lifelong learning. One conversation that resonated with me was from a CEO who was talking about the importance of creating a culture of learning within their organization. They encourage their employees to attend conferences, take online courses, even experiment with new technologies on their own time. They understood that investing in their employees' development was not just a nice to have, it was essential for the survival of their business.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to the importance of those LMS upgrades we discussed. They're not just about delivering training content, they're about creating a dynamic learning ecosystem that supports employees throughout their careers. Imagine an LMS that recommends courses based on your current role, your career aspirations, even your learning style. That's the future of learning and development.
So we've talked about the tech itself, the impact on the workforce, the need for continuous learning. What else stands out to you as you reflect on these conversations? What are some of the common threads that weave through these diverse perspectives?
One thing that really struck me was the importance of clear communication and stakeholder engagement throughout the implementation process. These tech upgrades, they're not just technical projects, they're organizational change initiatives. You can't just spring them on people and expect them to embrace the change with open arms.
You've got to bring people along on the journey, right? Make
Right.
them feel like they're part of the process, not just recipients of it.
Exactly. And that means communicating clearly and consistently about the why, the what, and the how of the upgrade. It means involving stakeholders early and often in the decision-making process, seeking their input and addressing their concerns. It means providing the support and training they need to navigate the change successfully.
It's interesting. We often focus on the hard skills involved in tech implementation, the technical know-how, the coding skills, the data analysis expertise, but these conversations really highlight the importance of soft skills as well. Communication, collaboration,
Yeah.
empathy, the ability to manage change effectively.
Absolutely. These soft skills are becoming increasingly important in the digital age, and they're often the key to bridging the gap between technology and people. One conversation that really stuck with me was from an HR manager who was talking about the importance of empathy during times of technological change. They said, it's easy to forget that for some people, these changes can be scary. They might be worried about losing their jobs, or they might not be comfortable with new technology. It's our job to understand those fears and address them in a compassionate way.
That's so important. It's about remembering that we're dealing with human beings, not just cogs in a machine.
Right.
It's about understanding that change can be disruptive and unsettling, and that we need to approach it with empathy and compassion.
It's not about technology versus humans. It's about finding ways to make technology work for humans. It's about using technology to enhance our capabilities, not replace them.
Exactly.
Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it's only as effective as the person wielding it. And that brings us back to the importance of training, not just on the technical aspects of the software, but on how to use it effectively to solve problems, collaborate with others, and ultimately create value for the organization. It's about empowering people to use technology to their full potential to become digital superheroes.
Digital superheroes. I think we need to make some cakes with keyboards on them. Now you're talking.
But seriously, these conversations underscore the need for a holistic approach to tech implementation. It's not just about the technology, it's about the people, the processes, the culture. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of it all.
It's about seeing the forest for the trees, so to speak.
Oh,
Okay, so we've talked about the here and now of tech implementation, but let's shift our focus to the future for a moment. What trends are you seeing on the horizon? What's next for business technology?
well, one trend that's impossible to ignore is the increasing integration of artificial intelligence into nearly every aspect of business operations. It's no longer a futuristic concept, it's happening now.
AI, the buzzword that's becoming a reality.
Yeah.
But it's not just about replacing human workers with robots.
Right? The conversations we reviewed suggested a more nuanced approach using AI to augment human capabilities, automate repetitive tasks, and uncover insights that would be difficult or impossible for humans to find on their own. One conversation I found particularly fascinating was from a data scientist who was talking about the potential of AI to personalize customer experiences. They said, imagine a world where every customer interaction is tailored to their individual needs and preferences based on their past behavior and purchase history.
That's next level personalization. It's like having a personal shopper for every customer, but powered by AI.
Exactly. And as AI continues to evolve, I think we're going to see even more creative and innovative ways to integrate it into our workflows. Imagine AI-powered project management tools that can predict potential roadblocks, recommend course corrections, even suggest the optimal team composition for a given project. Or how about AI-powered learning platforms that personalize learning paths, provide real-time feedback, and even connect learners with mentors based on their specific needs and goals?
It's like having a virtual assistant for every aspect of your business, guiding you, supporting you, and helping you make better decisions. But it's important to remember that AI is still a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Couldn't agree more. We need to be mindful of the ethical implications of AI and ensure that it's used responsibly and for the benefit of humanity, not just for profit.
Absolutely. It's about using AI to empower people, not replace them, to create a more equitable and sustainable world, not just a more efficient one. Okay, so AI is definitely a big one. Any other trends on your radar?
Another trend that's closely intertwined with AI is the rise of extended reality, which includes virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR. One conversation I found particularly insightful was from a manufacturing company that was using VR to train their employees on how to assemble complex machinery. They were able to create a safe and immersive learning environment where employees could learn by doing without the risk of making costly mistakes in the real world.
That's amazing. It's like a flight simulator for manufacturing in AR. That's the technology that overlays digital information onto the real world, right? Like those games where you can catch Pokemon in your living room.
Exactly. And businesses are starting to use AR in really innovative ways. One conversation featured a retail company that was using AR to enhance the customer shopping experience. They created an app that allowed customers to use their phones to view products in their homes, virtually try on clothes, and even get personalized product recommendations.
That's so cool. It's like taking the best of online shopping and the best of brick and mortar shopping and combining them into one seamless experience.
Exactly, and I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with extended reality. Imagine a world where surgeons can use AR to guide them during complex procedures, where architects can use VR to walk through their designs before they're built, where educators can use VR to transport students to ancient Rome or the depths of the ocean.
The possibilities are mind-blowing. It's like science fiction becoming science fact. But with all these amazing technological advancements, we can't forget about the importance of security and privacy.
Absolutely. As we become more reliant on technology, we also become more vulnerable to cyber attacks, and the consequences of a data breach can be devastating both financially and reputationally.
One of the conversations we reviewed talked about the importance of a zero-trust security model, which assumes that no user or device can be trusted by default. It's about implementing multiple layers of security, from strong passwords and multi-factor authentication to data encryption and network segmentation.
It's about being proactive, not reactive, assuming that a breach is inevitable, and taking steps to minimize the damage. And it's not just about technology, it's about education. We need to train our employees on how to spot phishing scams, how to create strong passwords, and how to report suspicious activity.
It's about creating a culture of security awareness, where everyone understands the importance of protecting sensitive data and takes personal responsibility for it.
And let's not forget about the ethical implications of technology as we collect more data, as we become more reliant on algorithms. We need to be mindful of the potential biases that can creep into these systems.
One of the conversations we reviewed talked about the importance of algorithmic transparency. It's about understanding how these algorithms work, what data they're using, and how they're making decisions. It's about ensuring that these systems are fair, unbiased, and accountable.
It's about using technology to create a more just and equitable world, not to perpetuate existing inequalities.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. We've talked about the impact of technology on the workforce, the rise of citizen developers, the need for continuous learning, the importance of soft skills, the ethical implications of AI and extended reality, and the ever-present need for security and privacy. What are some key takeaways that our listeners can apply to their own businesses?
I think the most important takeaway is that technology is not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand that will solve all your problems. It's a tool. And like any tool, it's only as effective as the person wielding it.
So it's not just about choosing the right technology. It's about
Correct.
implementing it effectively, training your employees, managing change, and ensuring that technology is used ethically and responsibly.
Exactly. And it's about embracing a mindset of continuous learning, adaptability, and innovation. The world of technology is constantly evolving, and we need to be prepared to evolve with it.
So to our listeners, as you navigate the ever-changing landscape of business technology, remember these key insights from those real-world conversations. Invest in your people. Foster a culture of learning. Communicate clearly, embrace change, and use technology for good.
Those are words to live by now. Are you ready for the final part of our deep dive?
Let's do it. You know, it's been incredible unpacking all these different perspectives on business tech. What I love most is that even with all this talk about AI, the cloud, and extended reality, these conversations, they bring it all back down to earth. They remind us that behind all the tech jargon and buzzwords, it's still about people.
It is. It really is. It's about solving those real-world problems, improving efficiency, creating a better experience for employees and customers.
Sometimes it's about taking a step back and asking, what problem are we actually trying to solve here? It's easy to get caught up in the hype of the latest and greatest tech.
Oh, absolutely. But making sure it aligns with your business goals and addresses a genuine need, that's critical.
Exactly. It's about choosing the right tool for the job, not just the shiniest one. You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb, would you?
Not unless you were looking for a very creative lighting solution.
True, true. But speaking of creative solutions, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder. We've talked a lot about the implementation of technology, but what about the invention of technology? Where do you see the future of business tech heading?
That's a question that keeps a lot of us up at night, but if I had to gaze into my crystal ball, I think we're going to see a convergence of several key trends we've already touched upon. Artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and extended reality. Those are going to be the big players.
Extended reality, that sounds so futuristic. What kinds of possibilities does that open up?
Imagine a world where you can use VR to train employees in a virtual environment, completely risk-free.
Oh, wow.
Or where AR overlays actually guide technicians through complex repairs.
So it's like having an expert looking over their shoulder.
Exactly. And then there's the potential of AI-powered virtual assistants, anticipating your needs and helping you make better decisions.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but is that really within reach?
It's closer than you think. These technologies are already being developed and implemented in various industries. I think we'll see widespread adoption sooner rather than later.
That's incredibly exciting and a little bit daunting, to be honest.
It is. But as with any technological advancement, the key is to approach it with a sense of curiosity, a willingness to experiment, and a commitment to using it responsibly and ethically.
Technology is such a powerful tool, and it's really up to us to ensure that it's used for good.
So as our listeners embark on their own tech upgrade journey, what are some of the most important lessons they should keep in mind from the conversations we've explored today?
Well, I would say plan carefully, communicate clearly, and address the human element of change. Don't underestimate the importance of data security. And always remember to test before rolling out anything new company-wide. Those are fantastic takeaways. And remember, you're not alone in this. These conversations are a testament to the collective wisdom of the business community. We're all in this together, figuring it out as we go.
That's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not just about finding answers, it's about sparking new questions, exploring those different perspectives, and ultimately empowering ourselves to make informed decisions about the future of our businesses.
So keep those conversations going, keep learning from each other, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology. Until next time, this is The Deep Dive, signing off. What does all this new tech really mean for your business?
What are the real implications?
Exactly.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Right. It's like we're flies on the wall. Very well-informed flies.
Yes, very much so.
So our mission here is to help you make sense of it all. Anticipate those potential roadblocks you might hit, and maybe even uncover some opportunities that you haven't even thought about yet.
I love that. And one thing that really jumped out at me right away was this whole concept of the everywhere workplace that kept popping up.
Yeah, it seems like remote work is a huge factor in all of this, right?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, or maybe the remote worker in the virtual room. I don't know, but it's definitely a big deal.
Yeah.
And that is where this whole SD-WAN conversation comes in.
Okay, so for those of us who, don't speak fluent tech, what exactly is SD-WAN?
So SD-WAN stands for Software-Defined Wide Area Network.
Okay.
But it's not just about faster internet, even though that's definitely a perk.
Right.
It's really about flexibility and control.
Okay.
Think of it like, a traffic controller for your entire network,
Right.
making sure all the most important data gets priority treatment.
So it's like, I'm picturing like a super organized air traffic controller, but for data packets.
Exactly. It's making sure things are running smoothly.
Got it. So how does this help the everywhere workplace specifically?
Well, think about it. You got people working from coffee shops, home offices, basically everywhere. but the actual office
Yeah.
and traditional VPNs, they can get kind of bogged down.
Right.
But with SD-WAN, it optimizes that whole traffic flow so everybody has a smooth, secure connection no matter where they are.
Okay, that makes sense.
Plus, it can prioritize the traffic from things like cloud applications.
Right.
Which is huge because, let's face it, more and more businesses are relying on those every single day.
Yeah, because who wants to be that person on the Zoom call who keeps freezing up?
Oh, it's the worst.
Not a good look. But hold on, didn't Mary mention something about new hardware?
Oh, you're right. She did.
Like, wouldn't that add to the cost of this whole upgrade?
Yeah, that's a good point. Implementing SD-WAN, it often does require upgrading to, like, compatible routers, which is definitely a factor to consider budget-wise and, just thinking about the potential disruption during that installation phase.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the pro tip.
Okay, I'm listening.
You have to factor that hardware cost into your overall ROI calculation.
Right.
If those smoother connections, that cloud performance, if it boosts productivity,
Yeah.
it might be, honestly, a very worthwhile investment in the long run.
Okay, that's a good point. It's not just about the upfront cost. It's about the long-term gains.
Precisely.
I like that.
So, as we're thinking about those potential bumps in the road, there's this, one big but that kind of hangs over almost all of these tech upgrades we're talking about.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Data migration.
You got it.
It seemed to be like a recurring nightmare, honestly,
It's a big one.
in a lot of these conversations.
Yeah, data migration, it really is a huge deal. Think of it like, you're moving your entire business to a brand new building. You got to pack everything up carefully, label it properly,
Right.
and make sure nothing gets lost or, God forbid, broken in the process.
Yeah.
Same goes for your data when you're switching over to a new system.
And it's not just about moving it. It's about making sure it actually works in that new system, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to ensure what they call data integrity, which basically means it's accurate and it's complete.
Okay.
This applies to, honestly, pretty much every single tech upgrade we're talking about here.
Right.
CRM, ERP, AI,
Oh.
all of them rely on having good, clean, reliable data.
So what's the best way to handle this?
Well,
Because Mary seemed pretty stressed about the potential for data loss, especially with that CRM system implementation.
oh, yeah.
She wants all that customer data, all those interactions, all those sales records to transfer over perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? She's right to be cautious about that.
Yeah.
That's why having a, rock solid data migration plan, it is not negotiable.
It's not an optional thing.
This is not something you want to just, wing it on,
Right. Wing it.
One strategy that I think is really smart, it's called a parallel run.
Okay.
Basically, you run the old system and the new system at the same time for, a little while.
Okay.
You compare all the data, make sure everything matches up perfectly before you make that final switch.
Mm-hmm.
It takes more time, more effort up front,
Yeah.
but it could potentially save you so many headaches down the road.
It's like that saying, measure twice, cut once. Right?
Exactly. It's all about being prepared.
That's a really smart approach. It's like, double checking your work, but on a massive scale.
It really is.
And it makes sense because think about the cost of actually losing all that customer data.
Oh, yeah.
It could cripple a business.
It really could.
It's not just about the financial hit. It's about, the damage to your reputation, that customer trust.
Oh, absolutely.
That's gone.
Yeah, so investing in a thorough data migration plan, honestly, it's like an insurance policy for your entire business.
It's that peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing that you've done everything you can to protect that valuable data.
Exactly.
And speaking of things that can keep you up at night, let's talk about AI.
Oh, yes.
Because,
The robots are coming.
the robots are coming. But it sounds like you're exploring some very interesting and potentially really powerful ways to use AI in your business.
AI is, it's very powerful and very versatile.
Right. It's exciting and a little intimidating, if I'm being honest.
For sure.
But Mary seemed particularly intrigued by the whole idea of using AI for customer service.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
Especially that chatbot functionality.
Oh, chatbots they're huge right now.
So tell me, why is everyone so obsessed with chatbots?
Well, think about it. An AI-powered chatbot, It can handle all those basic inquiries. It can answer FAQs. It can direct customers to the right resources 24/7.
Okay.
They never get tired. They never take a break.
Yeah.
And they can process information so much faster than a human can.
It's like having a tireless, super efficient employee who never complains and never asks for a raise.
Right. It's pretty amazing.
But here's the thing,
Yeah.
Mary, and I think, like a lot of people, are worried about losing that personal touch
Yeah.
in those customer interactions. You don't want customers to feel like they're just talking to a machine, right?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel like they're just a number.
Right, exactly.
And it brings up like a really important point about implementing AI. It's not about replacing humans entirely.
No.
It's about finding the right balance.
Okay, so you're saying, like, use AI for those initial routine interactions, but have a human standing by
Exactly.
to step in when things get a little more, I don't know, complex or sensitive.
Exactly. Let AI handle the quick, easy stuff.
Right.
Then your human agents are free to focus on those issues that require, a little more empathy, a little more creativity.
Right.
That human touch that AI just can't replicate.
I like that. It's a win-win for everyone involved, right?
It really is.
The business, the customer, and, let's not forget the employees who are freed up from those, like, mind-numbing repetitive tasks
Right?
to do more engaging work.
Exactly.
But there's another big question that came up in this conversation. Privacy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mary was understandably concerned about, protecting customer data.
Of course, that's a huge one these days.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? That concern is shared by a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
And that's why it's crucial to prioritize what they call data anonymization when you're using AI for customer service.
Okay.
So before you feed any customer data into this AI system, you got to strip it of all that personally identifiable information.
Like their name, their address.
Right, exactly. Things that could potentially, be used to identify an individual.
Okay.
This is honestly, it's an ethical imperative, but it's also a legal requirement in a lot of cases.
So you're saying it's possible to leverage the power of AI while still, respecting customer privacy.
Absolutely. It's about being thoughtful and intentional in how you approach it. Right.
And it brings us right back to that overarching theme we keep coming back to. The human element.
Mm-hmm.
Even with AI, even with the most sophisticated technology, it's still crucial to keep people at the center of your decisions.
That's a great point to end this first part of our deep dive on.
It is.
We'll be back in just a moment to dig even deeper into these tech upgrades,
Oh, I can't wait.
including some really fascinating discussions about cybersecurity, the cloud, and how to future-proof your business. So don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of business tech. And let me tell you, these conversations are just getting more and more interesting the deeper we go.
They really are. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, Each layer reveals something new and sometimes a little bit spicy.
I like that analogy, a little bit spicy.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about, like, the big picture stuff, the everywhere workplace, data migration. But now I think it's time to zoom in on some specific technologies and really unpack what they mean for a business like yours. Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty. And I gotta say, I'm really curious about this whole ERP upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Mary seemed both excited and completely overwhelmed.
I can see why, ERP or enterprise resource planning, as they call it,
Really?
that's a beast.
It's a big one.
It touches everything.
Everything.
From like finance and inventory to HR, customer relationship management.
Wow.
It's like the backbone of so many businesses. But upgrading an ERP system, that's a major undertaking.
No kidding. Mary mentioned that their current system, it's outdated. Doesn't really play nice with other software.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like a recipe for headaches.
Big time. Think of a modern ERP system like the central nervous system of your entire business.
Okay.
It connects all the different departments, all the functions. It lets that data flow smoothly.
Right.
Gives you like a holistic view of your entire operation.
Oh.
But if that ERP system is, clunky and outdated, it's like having a pinched nerve.
Ouch.
It's going to slow you down. It's going to cause errors. It's going to limit your growth potential.
Right. Yeah. That's a painful analogy.
It is.
So it sounds like seamless integration, that's got to be like a non-negotiable for any new ERP system.
Absolutely. And Mary seemed to be on the same page there. She was really emphasizing the importance of real-time data analytics, mobile accessibility, being able to make decisions on the fly.
Right. Because in today's world, everything's moving so fast, you got to be able to, like, pivot quickly.
Uh-huh. Agility is key.
Right, being able to access that data from anywhere,
Yes.
at any time.
Any device.
It's crucial.
It really is.
But of course, with any big system upgrade,
There's always a catch.
there's always a catch. Mary was really concerned about data migration, and rightfully so.
Oh, of course.
I mean, we talked about the importance of having a solid migration plan in place, but with ERP, it's even more critical because you're dealing with massive amounts of data.
Massive.
I mean, we're talking years, maybe even decades worth of information.
And it's not just about transferring that data, it's about mapping it correctly to the new system.
Right, making sure it all lines up, nothing gets lost in translation.
Exactly. And you might even need to clean up your data before you even migrate it.
Oh, interesting.
It's like spring cleaning for your digital files.
Okay.
You got to get rid of duplicates, inconsistencies, any outdated information.
Make sure you're starting with a clean slate.
Exactly. And this is honestly where having like external consultants with like real ERP expertise can
Yeah.
be so valuable.
They've seen it all, right?
They've been through it countless times. They know all the pitfalls to avoid.
Yeah, it's worth bringing in the pros for this kind of thing,
Sometimes it really is.
especially when you're dealing with something as complex as ERP.
And you know, another thing to think about, downtime during implementation.
Oh, right. You don't want everything to just like stop working while you're switching over.
Exactly. Mary mentioned that as like a major concern.
Yeah, time is money, as they say.
That's right. And that's why a phased rollout can be honestly such a smart approach.
So instead of trying to do everything at once, you kind of break it up into chunks.
Exactly. Instead of trying to do like the entire ERP system all at once, you do it in stages, department by department, function by function.
Okay.
Minimizes the disruption and gives your team time to adjust gradually.
Yeah, so it's not such a shock to the system.
It's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in head first.
I like that. It's a good strategy.
So it sounds like there are a lot of moving parts with an ERP upgrade.
It does. It does.
Anything else we should be thinking about? Any other questions?
Well, it sounds like you're leaning towards a cloud-based ERP solution.
Yeah, that's a popular choice these days.
Which makes sense. Mary mentioned, the scalability, cost efficiency, and the fact that it's accessible from anywhere,
Oh, absolutely.
which fits perfectly with that everywhere workplace concept we talked about earlier.
It does. It's a perfect fit.
But, here's the thing, and I think this is something that a lot of people worry about with the cloud.
What's that?
Security.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right. You're essentially entrusting your most sensitive data to a third party.
It can be a little scary, honestly.
It is a little scary.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that data is actually safe in the cloud?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, it starts with choosing a reputable cloud provider.
Okay.
Somebody with a proven track record of security. Do your research.
So it's good like checking references.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions about their data encryption practices, their security certifications, their disaster recovery plans. Really grill them.
Make sure they're the real deal.
Exactly. And don't just rely on the provider's assurances,
Right.
Implement your own security measures as well.
Okay.
Things like multi-factor authentication, data loss prevention tools.
Right.
And of course, employee training, make sure everybody knows how to protect that sensitive data.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach to security. You're not just relying on one thing.
It's about layers, defense in depth.
Defense in depth. I like that.
So yeah, cloud-based ERP, it can be a great option, but you got to do your homework.
You got to do your homework, and you got to take security seriously.
You got it. And now, while we're on the topic of data, let's talk about BI.
Oh, yeah, BI, or business intelligence, as they call it.
Right.
Mary seemed really excited about, boosting their data analytics capabilities.
Oh, yeah. She was talking about interactive dashboards, predictive analytics, all that cool stuff.
It's like giving your business a crystal ball.
It really is.
Right. Being able to see into the future.
BI tools, they can help you uncover like hidden patterns in your data, predict future trends,
Wow.
and make those like data-driven decisions.
It's all about making smarter decisions, right?
Yeah.
Using that data to your advantage.
Absolutely. And Mary was spot on when she, highlighted those interactive dashboards.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like having a visual command center for your entire business.
Okay.
You can track all those key metrics at a glance.
Like having all your data right there at your fingertips.
It's exactly ready to be explored.
But hold on. Didn't Mary also mention something about predictive analytics?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like magic.
It's pretty close. It really is.
So how does that work?
Well, predictive analytics, it uses historical data
Okay.
to identify trends and patterns, and then it extrapolates those patterns to, predict what might happen in the future.
Wow.
It's like having a sneak peek at, tomorrow's sales figures.
That's amazing.
Customer behavior, market fluctuations.
But it sounds like it requires like a certain level of data maturity.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, you've got to have clean data,
Yeah.
accurate data to
Yeah.
feed into those models.
You got it. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say in the data world.
Right.
That's why Mary was so focused on data governance.
Yeah, data governance.
It's not the sexiest topic, I'll admit.
No, it doesn't sound super exciting.
But it is absolutely essential for making sure that your data is reliable.
So it's like laying the groundwork.
It's the foundation.
Right. For all of this, for BI to actually work, you need good data governance.
Precisely. Think of it as a set of rules and procedures for managing your data throughout its life cycle. You're ensuring data quality, consistency, security, accessibility, all of that.
Got it. So it's like you're setting standards for how data is collected, how it's stored, how it's used.
Exactly. You got to have those standards in place.
Otherwise, it's just a mess, right?
It's chaos. It's the wild west of data.
And nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that. And, even with BI tools, we can't forget that human element.
Right.
We can generate those amazing insights,
Yeah.
but it's still up to your team to interpret them and actually turn them into action.
Yeah. You still need human intelligence to guide those business decisions.
Absolutely. And, speaking of the human element,
Yeah.
what about the impact of BI on the analytics team itself?
Oh, right. Mary did mention that.
She did.
That it might lead to like some role changes and stuff.
Yeah, that's a pretty common outcome of BI implementations.
Yeah.
A lot of the data gathering and reporting tasks, they can be automated now.
So that frees up the analysts to do more of the strategic thinking.
Exactly. So instead of just crunching numbers, they can focus on data interpretation, trend analysis, providing recommendations to the decision makers.
So it's like you're upskilling the entire analytics team.
Exactly.
They're not just number crunchers anymore. They're strategic advisors.
That's a much better title.
It is a much better title.
But, it's important to communicate these changes clearly.
Right. You don't want people to feel like their jobs are being replaced by robots.
Exactly. It's about empowering them
Right.
to embrace those changes and to thrive in this new data-driven environment.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is exciting. And, speaking of embracing change,
That's next.
let's talk about something a little bit more futuristic.
Okay, hit me.
IoT.
Ooh, the Internet of Things. I was wondering when we'd get to this one.
Merrick seemed particularly intrigued by, the potential of IoT to optimize the supply chain and to, improve equipment maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is.
All those sensors
Everywhere.
on every piece of equipment, every pallet of goods, every truck in your fleet, all feeding data back to you in real time.
It's like having eyes and ears everywhere all the time.
It's a little bit Big Brother-ish.
It is a little bit.
But it's also incredibly powerful.
Incredibly powerful.
When you think about the possibilities.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Mary was talking about using those sensors to monitor inventory levels in real time.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine, knowing exactly what you have on hand at any given moment.
No more stockouts.
No more stockouts.
No more waste. Just perfectly optimized inventory levels.
That's the dream, right?
It is the dream.
But it also sounds like a massive undertaking.
It can be.
I mean, we're talking about connecting, potentially thousands of devices.
It's a lot of data.
All generating tons of data.
Oh, yeah, it's a data tsunami.
How do you even manage all of that?
Well, that's a great question, and it definitely requires a robust infrastructure.
Okay.
You need a secure network to connect all those devices. You need a platform to collect and process all that data. And then you need the tools to analyze it and visualize the insights.
So it's not just about the sensors themselves, it's about the whole ecosystem around it.
It's the whole ecosystem, and of course, security is paramount.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. With all those connected devices, you're creating a much bigger attack surface for hackers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like opening up a bunch of new doors and saying, come on in.
You got to lock those doors.
Yeah.
And that's why a robust security framework is so crucial.
Right.
Strong encryption to protect that data in transit and at rest. Regular security audits.
Right.
To identify those vulnerabilities, and then a system for patching them quickly.
So you're constantly monitoring, you're constantly updating.
Always on guard.
Right.
And of course, you got to train your team on all the best practices.
So it's like building a fortress around your IoT network.
Exactly.
But with really tech-savvy guards.
You got it.
Okay. Now, another big question with IoT is, where do you actually store and process all that data?
Right, because it's a lot of data.
Mary mentioned both edge computing
Yeah.
and cloud storage as options.
It's a common dilemma these days.
I'm still a little fuzzy on edge computing. Can you explain that?
Sure, think of edge computing like having mini data centers, right?
Okay.
right at the edge of your network, closer to where the data is actually being generated.
So instead of sending all that data all the way to the cloud,
You're processing it right there on the spot.
which makes sense for certain applications, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Things that require, like, real-time responses.
Right, like controlling a robotic arm on a production line or monitoring a patient's vital signs, things like that.
So you need that instant feedback.
You need it fast.
But for things like, long-term data storage, in-depth analytics, the cloud still makes sense.
Oh yeah, the cloud is great for that.
Okay.
Scalability, flexibility, cost efficiency.
So it sounds like the best approach is, like, a hybrid one. Right.
You're getting it.
Use edge computing for the stuff you need immediately and the cloud for everything else.
You got it. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
All right, let's shift gears now and talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. Learning.
Ah, yes, the LMS upgrade.
Mary seemed really passionate about making sure their learning and development programs are keeping pace with, this whole digital transformation thing.
Well, it's so important these days, right? Technology is changing so rapidly. Employees have to constantly be learning and upskilling to stay relevant.
It's like a never-ending process now.
It really is. And Mary gets that. She knows that a modern LMS, a learning management system, that's key to making that happen.
It's the foundation.
It is the foundation. And she stressed the need for mobile accessibility, interactive content, and strong analytics.
Those all make sense to me. I mean, who wants to be chained to a desktop computer for training these days?
Nobody. It's so old school.
Yeah, people want to learn on their phones, on their tablets, on the go, while they're waiting for their latte.
Exactly, exactly. And interactive content, come on, that's way more engaging than those old school slide decks.
Yeah, it's the difference between reading a textbook and watching a documentary.
It really is.
One is passive and forgettable. The other one actually sucks you in.
You remember it.
Yeah.
And strong analytics are key for measuring how effective those training programs actually are.
Right. You want to know if people are actually learning,
Exactly.
if they're applying that knowledge on the job, and if it's having a positive impact on the bottom line.
You want to see that ROI.
Yeah, training shouldn't just be a box to check. It should be a strategic investment in your people and your future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But one thing that really caught my attention in this conversation was this whole idea of AI-powered learning paths.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
That sounds amazing.
It's next level.
Right. Imagine an LMS that can actually analyze each learner's skills, figure out their knowledge gaps,
And recommend personalized learning content tailored to their specific needs.
It's like having a personal tutor for every single employee.
It really is. And it can go even further.
Oh.
I mean, the LMS could provide personalized feedback. It could adapt the learning path in real time based on how the learner's doing, even recommend additional resources to help them go deeper.
That's incredible. It's taking personalized learning to a whole new level.
It's like the future of learning is here, right?
But didn't Mary also mention some concerns about AI in learning? I think she was worried about it feeling a little too impersonal.
Yeah, I think she's right to be cautious about that.
Yeah.
AI is great for a lot of things, but it can't replace that human touch.
Right. That mentorship, that encouragement, the ability to really connect with a learner on a personal level.
Exactly. So again, it's about balance.
So you're saying AI can enhance the learning experience, but it shouldn't be seen as a way to completely eliminate human interaction.
You got it. It's a partnership, not a replacement.
Okay, I like that. Now, let's get back to some practical matters here.
Yeah.
Mary seemed a little stressed out about the whole content migration thing.
I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Moving all those training materials to a new LMS, that can be a daunting task, especially if you've got a lot of legacy content.
She estimated about 60% of their existing content could be, like, repurposed directly. But the rest would need to be updated, redesigned.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah.
But here's a tip. Don't just blindly migrate everything,
Okay.
Use this as an opportunity to do an audit of your content.
Okay.
Get rid of anything that's outdated, irrelevant.
It's like spring cleaning for your training library.
Exactly. Keep only the good stuff.
And make sure that the stuff you do keep aligns with your current goals, your business objectives.
Right. Make sure it's still relevant.
And when you are creating new content or even updating the old stuff, mobile accessibility, you got to keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah. That's huge these days.
Right. Design for smaller screens. Use concise language. Incorporate those interactive elements that we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. Keep it engaging.
Make it fun.
Make it fun to learn.
Right, because you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with YouTube.
All the distractions out there.
Yeah, you got to make your training content just as captivating, if you want people to actually pay attention.
Absolutely. It's a tough competition out there.
But even with the best content, the most advanced LMS, it's all for nothing if people don't actually use it, right?
You're absolutely right. User adoption is key to the success of any LMS implementation.
So how do you get people excited about a new platform? It's not like you can just bribe them with pizza.
Well, you could try,
Or maybe you could.
but there are better ways.
Okay, what are they?
Well, for starters, involve them in the selection process.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, ask for their input
Okay.
on the features they want to see, the types of content they find engaging, their preferred learning methods, get their buy-in from the beginning.
Make them feel like they're part of the process, not just having something dictated to them.
Exactly. Ownership is key.
Okay.
And once you've chosen a system, you got to communicate those benefits clearly.
Right, sell it.
Yeah, sell it. Focus on how this new LMS will make learning more accessible, more engaging, more relevant to their work, and ultimately, beneficial to their career growth.
It's all about showing them what's in it for them.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of training and support.
Right.
Make sure people have the resources they need to get up to speed quickly and feel comfortable using the new system.
It's like holding their hand through the process.
In the beginning, yeah, little hand-holding never hurts.
And what about gamification? Mary mentioned incorporating elements like badges, leaderboards, points.
I love that idea.
Right. Make it fun.
Look at a game.
A little healthy competition.
Exactly, a little friendly rivalry, never hurt anybody.
But before we get too caught up in the bells and whistles,
Right.
let's not forget about the importance of integration, which Mary was very adamant about.
Integration is key, especially with the HRIS system.
Yeah, that was a non-negotiable for her.
It makes sense.
Because you don't want your LMS to be this, siloed system.
No, you want it to talk to the other systems.
Yeah, it's got to play nice with the others.
Exactly. Integrating it with the HRIS allows for that seamless data flow.
So you can track employee training records, certifications, skills, performance reviews, all of that.
Exactly. Creates that unified view of the entire employee lifecycle.
It's all connected.
Yeah, everything's connected.
And it allows you to make those data-driven decisions about talent development, succession planning, compensation, all of that.
It's powerful stuff.
It's really powerful stuff. It's about connecting the dots between learning and business outcomes.
Absolutely.
Okay, that brings us to our final technology deep dive.
Let's do it.
Project management.
Oh, yeah, the quest for the perfect project management tool.
It never ends, does it?
Never ends.
It sounds like you're looking for something that can really support those increasingly distributed teams.
That's a key consideration these days. With teams spread out all over the place, different time zones, you need a tool that can keep everybody connected and on the same page.
Yeah, it's got to be like that central hub.
It does.
Where everybody can go, they can see what's going on, they can communicate, collaborate.
Exactly. And Mary highlighted the need for real-time collaboration, robust reporting, and integration with the existing tools they're already using.
So it's got to be powerful, but it's also got to be user-friendly.
It's got to be both.
Right. Because if it's too complicated, people aren't going to use it.
It's going to sit there gathering dust.
Exactly.
So real-time collaboration, that's about breaking down those silos.
There you go.
Keeping that communication flowing smoothly, no matter where people are physically located.
It's like having a virtual war room where everyone can see the big picture.
Exactly. And contribute their expertise.
And robust reporting. That's essential for keeping track of progress, identifying those potential roadblocks.
Keeping everybody informed.
Stakeholders happy.
Stakeholders happy, always important.
You want to be able to generate those reports on budgets, timelines, resource allocation, all of that, quickly and easily.
Data-driven project management.
I like it.
It's the way to go.
But what about integration with existing tools? I mean, I imagine you're already using a bunch of different software for communication, for file sharing, for time tracking.
Oh, yeah. Most businesses are using a whole suite of tools these days.
So your project management tool, it's got to be able to talk to all of those.
It's got to play nice with others.
Right. You don't want to be constantly switching between different systems, manually transferring data.
No, nobody has time for that.
It's got to be seamless.
It's got to be seamless. It's going to be integrated.
Okay, now, another thing Mary was really focused on was customization.
Oh, yeah. She wants a tool that's flexible.
Right, because one size does not fit all.
Not at all, especially when it comes to project management.
Some teams might prefer a more agile approach. Others might stick with the traditional waterfall method.
You got to have options.
So a good project management tool, it should let you customize those workflows, create custom fields, set up different permission levels.
You got it.
It's about tailoring the tool to fit your unique way of working.
Exactly, make it your own.
Now, even with the most user-friendly tool, there's always going to be learning curves.
Oh, for sure.
Mary estimated it would take her team a few weeks to become proficient and maybe a couple of months to really master all the features.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, you can't expect people to become experts overnight.
No, it takes time.
So training and support, that's got to be part of the plan from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Provide your team with those training materials, whether it's online tutorials, in-person workshops, one-on-one coaching, whatever works best for them.
And be available to answer questions,
Yeah.
troubleshoot any issues.
Be there to support them.
Yeah, set them up for success.
Exactly. And let's not forget about data migration.
Oh, right, the dreaded data migration.
Got to transfer all that historical project data to the new system.
But how much data do you actually need to migrate?
That's a good question. Do you need every project from the past decade?
Right.
Or can you just focus on the most recent ones?
You've got to weigh the benefits against the effort.
Rightly.
You don't want to be bogged down with migrating a bunch of data that you're never going to use.
But you also don't want to lose valuable historical data.
Right, that could inform future decisions.
So it's a balancing act.
And while we're on the subject of data, let's not forget about integration with your time tracking system.
Ah, yes, that was another must-have on Mary's list.
It makes sense.
It does.
Right. Integrating your project management in time tracking, it allows you to track progress more accurately, manage budgets more effectively, improve resource allocation.
It's all about getting a clear picture of where your time and money are going.
Exactly, because who doesn't want that?
And that brings us to mobile accessibility.
Oh, yeah, that was another big one for Mary.
That's a must-have these days.
Yeah, work happens everywhere now.
It does. You got to be able to access those project management tools from anywhere.
Your phone, your tablet, your laptop, wherever you are.
Exactly. And finally, let's not forget about data visualization.
Oh, yeah, making that data work for you.
Mary mentioned the importance of advanced analytics, customizable dashboards,
It's all about those insights.
helping you make those smarter decisions,
Yeah.
keeping those projects on track.
So as you can see, choosing a new project management tool, it's not a simple task.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a process.
It's about finding that perfect fit.
That perfect fit for your team, for your methodology, for your budget.
And for your sanity.
And for your sanity, exactly.
So wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We've explored everything from ERP and BI to IoT, LMS, project management software.
It's been quite a ride.
It's been an incredible journey.
And one thing that really struck me throughout all of these conversations,
What's that?
it's how every single one of these tech decisions, it's also a people decision. Oh, I love that.
It really is. It's not enough to just focus on the features of the technology.
Right.
You got to think about how it's going to impact your employees, how you're going to bring them along on the journey, how you're going to make sure it empowers them and doesn't overwhelm them.
It's about finding that sweet spot where technology and human ingenuity come together.
Exactly, and create something truly amazing.
And that's what digital transformation is all about.
It is.
It's not just about adopting new technology.
It's about using that technology to create a better future.
For your business and for your people.
Good enough said it better myself.
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up this deep dive and offer some final thoughts on how to navigate this ever-evolving world of business tech, so don't go anywhere. All right, and we're back for the final part of our deep dive into business tech. And I gotta say, I'm feeling a little bit like we just drank from a fire hose of information.
Yeah, it is a lot to take in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many moving parts. So many moving parts. So many new technologies to consider. But, one that really stood out to me, I think, because I'm kind of a learning nerd,
Oh, I can see that.
is the whole LMS upgrade.
The LMS, yeah, that's a big one. It's kind of like the unsung hero of a lot of these digital transformations.
Right. It's the engine that drives so much of the growth and development within a company.
Exactly. And it seems like Mary, like a lot of really forward-thinking business leaders, she gets that.
Yeah.
She understands that learning isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's essential for survival in this rapidly changing world.
It's about staying ahead of the curve, right? Giving your employees the tools and the knowledge they need to thrive.
Exactly. And that's where modern LMS comes in. Mary, she highlighted some key priorities like mobile accessibility, interactive content, and strong analytics.
And those are all so important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to be stuck in a boring training session when you could be learning on your phone, in a coffee shop, on your own time?
Nobody. It's all about flexibility these days.
Right. And interactive content, come on, that's just so much more engaging than those old school PowerPoint presentations.
It's night and day.
Like the difference between watching a black and white silent film and like a 3D IMAX movie.
Right, you're immersed in the
You
experience.
actually remember something.
Exactly. And, Mary was also really adamant about strong analytics.
Yeah, she wants to be able to measure the impact of those training programs, make sure they're actually working.
It's about data-driven learning,
Right.
right? Making sure those L&D dollars are being spent wisely.
But you know what really blew my mind in this conversation was the whole AI-powered learning paths thing.
Yeah, now we're talking.
That's next level stuff.
It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
An LMS that can analyze your skills, identify your knowledge gaps, and then recommend personalized content just for you.
Tailored to your specific needs, it's amazing.
It's like having a personal tutor in your pocket.
And it can even adapt the learning path as you go, based on how you're doing. It's incredible.
But I do remember Mary expressing some concerns about AI in learning, like, the whole depersonalization thing.
Oh, for sure.
Replacing human trainers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, those are valid concerns. And I think, again, it comes back to balance, right?
Right.
AI is a tool. It's not a replacement for human connection and expertise.
So you're saying it can enhance the learning experience, but it shouldn't be seen as a way to eliminate the human element altogether.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot, where technology and human interaction work together.
I like that it's a partnership.
It is a partnership, not a takeover.
But, let's come back down to earth for a minute and talk about some more practical matters.
Okay.
Like content migration, which Mary seemed a little stressed about.
It can be overwhelming. I mean, moving all those training materials to a new LMS.
It's a big job.
It is, especially if you've got years and years of legacy content.
And I think a lot of people just try to migrate everything over as is. But this is actually a good opportunity to do some spring cleaning, right?
Oh, absolutely. Get rid of anything that's outdated, irrelevant.
Make sure the content you do keep aligns with your current goals and objectives.
Streamline that library.
Exactly.
And when you're creating new content, keep mobile accessibility top of mind.
So no more tiny fonts.
No more tiny fonts, no more clunky navigation.
It's got to look good on a phone. It's got to be easy to use on any device.
Make it seamless, make it enjoyable.
But even with the best content, the most user-friendly LMS, it's all for nothing if people don't actually use it.
You're right. User adoption is key.
It's the make or break factor.
So how do you get people excited about a new learning platform?
I mean, it's not exactly the most glamorous thing in the world.
It's not like a new iPhone.
Right, exactly.
But there are ways to build that excitement to encourage adoption.
Okay, I'm listening.
One thing Mary mentioned that I thought was brilliant was involving employees in that selection process from the very beginning.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, give them a voice. Let them have a say in what features and functionality they want to see.
Make them feel like they're part of the decision.
Exactly. Create that sense of ownership.
And once you've chosen an LMS, make sure you communicate those benefits clearly.
Sell it, sell it, sell it.
Yeah, show them what's in it for them.
And don't underestimate the power of training and support.
Right, make sure they know how to use the new system.
Give them the resources they need.
Be there to answer their questions.
Be patient. Be supportive.
And what about gamification? Mary talked about using things like badges and leaderboards.
Oh, I love gamification.
Make it fun. Make it a competition.
A little friendly competition never hurt anybody.
Exactly.
It's a great way to motivate people, especially those who, thrive on recognition and rewards.
But before we get too carried away with all the fun stuff, let's not forget about integration, especially with the HRIS system.
Oh, integration. That's crucial.
It got to be seamless, right?
It does. You don't want that LMS to be an island.
Right. Got to be part of the ecosystem.
It's all connected. Integrating it with the HRIS allows for that seamless data flow. You can track training records, certifications, skills, performance reviews, everything.
It's like having a 360-degree view of the employee.
Exactly. And it helps you make better decisions about talent development, succession planning, compensation.
So it's not just about learning for learning's sake. It's about connecting it to the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It's about aligning those learning goals with the business goals.
And that brings us full circle to that key insight we've been talking about throughout this entire deep dive.
You got it.
Every tech decision we've discussed, from SD-WAN and AI to cloud migration and project management software, it all comes down to this. How will it impact our people?
People first, technology second.
Exactly. How will we bring them along on this journey? How will we make sure it empowers them and doesn't replace them?
Those are the questions every leader should be asking themselves.
Because technology will always be evolving, but it's the human element that will always be at the heart of any successful business.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's what we've been exploring in this deep dive. And I hope it's given you some food for thought as you navigate this exciting and sometimes overwhelming world of business tech.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it's also incredibly exciting to think about all the possibilities.
It is, and that's why we love doing these deep dives. So thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you next time.